Unmute its audio. It'd suck if we didn't have sound for the note block panel.
Hey. Can I be heard?
Yep.
Yes.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Hey, everyone. Lots of people in the audience. That's beautiful.
Hey guys. What are y'all doing?
Hello. I want to take screenshots of
Hello.
this.
I can get a few. I have a very weird setup on my screen right now, so it's gonna have a weird.
Say cheese, guys.
Yeah, say cheese.
Cheese.
Yo. Oh my
Hey,
gosh,
Matt.
I see so many people I recognize.
Hey, Pigler.
This is
Hey,
great.
Curious.
Hello. You got Peace Scout and Tsunami.
I have so many
Alex.
chat windows open right now at the same time.
Yo,
Oh,
oh my gosh, so many people.
I hope everyone's excited.
Oh, and piano.
Panel,
And
because I've been nervous by the amount of people that are here.
That's what the water's for.
It's okay.
Yeah,
These are little blocks.
Yeah.
Good reminder.
That. All right.
Have you handed out microphones, by the way?
Yeah.
Yes.
Feel free to use them as the person who is speaking, so the audience can know who is who.
Yes.
It's a very useful
Better,
tool.
please don't ping me during the panel.
You can turn off Discord notifications, yeah?
Yeah, you can turn on streamer
everybody should
mode.
go on Do Not Disturb. Yeah, on
Yeah.
streamer mode. Whichever one. You both like. Yeah.
Alrighty, we got 1 minute here. We'll hand it over to you three.
All right.
Okay.
Hope everyone's excited. This should be a pretty cool panel.
A cool panel.
And of course, for everyone, if you want to come back, streamed on the YouTube channel, and we have a playlist of every recording, and they're on the website. So make sure to throw your questions in chat as you see them. We'll be recording them for the Q&A at the end.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Hey everyone! I'm Ben Trone, maintainer and lead developer of NoteBlock Studio. We present our panel, 15 Years of NoteBlock Music, The History of NoteBlock Studio. Yeah, it's a long title. Where we'll delve into the history of the program, our plans for the future, and why we think you should use NoteBlock Music in your maps. I'm joined by Vision, our community manager.
Hey guys.
And Encode42, our project admin and moderator.
Hello.
Where's the command? Here. We'll begin by introducing NoteBlock Studio, tell how it was created and its history, and talk a bit about what the community has done with the program. Then we'll dive into NoteBlocks from a map-making point of view and share why we think you should be using NoteBlock Music in your maps. Finally, we'll share our plans for the future of the project, and there's something special reserved for those who stay until the end. So we'll begin by introducing the application and what you can do with it. NoteBlock Studio is a desktop application aimed at helping you compose and arrange NoteBlock music. It has a grid-like workspace where you can place down note blocks with different keys and instruments. You select a key by clicking the piano roll at the bottom, and an instrument by clicking one of the icons at the top. Vertical columns represent ticks, while rows represent layers, letting you place multiple notes to be played at a given time. Some of the key features of the program are stereo support, letting you pen notes left and right, volume support, which lets you make notes louder or quieter as you wish, support to notes outside the 2-octave range supported by Minecraft, so you're not stuck when making note songs, support to all 16 vanilla instruments and even custom sounds that you can import and use in your songs, a compatibility assistant, which helps you fix your song to be compatible with Minecraft in case it uses unsupported features, and MIDI device compatibility. You can plug in a real MIDI keyboard and record yourself playing with Noteblock sounds. To speed up song creation, you can easily import a song from a MIDI file and work off of that. And finally, NBS has features letting you save your song as a schematic, data pack, or audio file. So now that we know what NBS is all about, let's dive into the history of the program. Vision, I'll take it to you.
Hey, so our journey starts all the way back in 2011, more than 13 years ago. Noteblock Studio was made by Swedish developer David Andre, also known as Stuff by David. David developed a bunch of Minecraft experiments at the time, and is also known for having developed Minemator, another one of his projects that is still being maintained to this day. Originally called Minecraft Song Planner, its first version came out on January 16th, 2011, only 4 days after Noteblocks had been added to Minecraft in version beta 1.2. It had its own custom file format with the extension .mcsp that would later become .nbs. A few days later, the first Minecraft song to ever be made with the program would be published. Turkish March by Yahar was submitted to the Minecraft forum on February 25th, 2011. It contained 2,600 note blocks and was planned entirely inside the program before being built into Minecraft. As a matter of fact, the song later became a demo file included with the program. Minecraft Noteblock Studio, as it was now called, was released on October 18th, 2011. The program now contains most features mentioned in the beginning and started to take the shape it still mostly holds to this day. You can now use custom instruments, notes outside the Noteblock range, and best of all, export your songs as an MC schematic that can be plopped right into your game. It was magic. The program's release was a huge success. It had been downloaded 400,000 times as of the last time this stat was published in 2015. With more and more people interested in Noteblocks and how easy it was to load songs into the game, music videos using the schematic export feature started to proliferate. Many of these videos exploded in popularity, gathering millions of views. Here you can see a few of them. Grande1899 was probably the most notable person to make note blocks using this technique, but there are many others too, such as, that's right, Seth Blink. In June 2013, with the addition of the /playSound command in Minecraft 1.6, developed an MC Edit filter that could grab a note block circuit and transform it into command blocks. That was the first piece of modern note block tech in the game's history, and could be used to have songs playing globally to players across the world. That's how the Macarena video was made. In 1.7, however, released shortly after in October 2013, another command that would revolutionize map making was added to the game: /setblocks. Grande1899, who was already popular in the noteblock scene, then adapted Seth Blink's filter to run setblock commands that would modify a single set of noteblocks wirelessly. Instead of following where the music was playing across a gigantic circuit, the player could now stay in the same spot while different noteblocks shuffled in front of them. This created an appealing visual that became a signature element in Grande's channel, and would become really popular on YouTube overall. No wonder some of the videos surpassed 6 million views, back at a time when this was still a lot. About a year later, Shinkonet, an Australian musician and developer who is now the composer for Hypixel Network, would start composing music in his bedroom with Noteblock Studio. Over the course of 2015, he would sequence hundreds of cover songs using the program. As a way to give back to the community, he had a ton of improvements he wanted to bring to the program. But as it wasn't open source, he actually decompiled the program himself into code and modified it to add the features he wanted. He later asked David to provide him with the source code, and after managing to get access to it, he sought to make MCNBS much better. NBS Mod added lots of features aimed at experienced users, such as increasing the TPS limit beyond the speeds allowed by Minecraft, increasing the workspace size, adding higher octave versions of the existing sounds, and a few extra instruments, such as a trumpet and the Wilhelm scream? Yeah. Interesting choice, Shinko. Under the map-making team Xyantis, Arth2000 and ShinkoNet developed NBS to CBS, a script to convert NBS files to /play sound command blocks that would be integrated with NBS mods shortly after. By having an armor stand scan the rows of command blocks and unlock support to other tempo values, up 20 ticks per second, as the schematics exported at the time only supported 10 ticks per second. Back then, schematics could only be exported in the speeds of 2.5, 5, or 10 ticks per second, since those were the speeds available in regular redstone circuits through repeater delays. But this quantization mechanic would become a core principle of NBS exports later on. Volume modulations could also be used, something that was not possible before with plain note blocks, or even with the other scripts that had been created in the past. NBS exported the wireless note block song export, which Grande1899 popularized. Later, the program could also export to a particle visualizer that became a signature visual on ShinkoNet's YouTube channel, used in hundreds of covers and original songs.
Now, about in 2017 is when my involvement with the project begins, beyond being just a regular user. At about 2017, I was working on Pokemon Cobalt and Amethyst. Made a good friend there, Fizzy81, and I wanted to tinker with note block songs programmatically. The only problem was, at the time, I had no clue about coding outside of Minecraft. So I asked Fizzy if he could help me write a script to parse the NBS file binary structure. Instead of helping me, he actually went and wrote an entire library for it in 2 days that he called PyNBS. A parenthesis, Fizzy would come to develop Beat years later, which is the Python data pack toolkit that powers our music system, and also this entire server. Make sure to attend their panel on Saturday, it's gonna be great. With that out of the way, I then started working in NBS command, an MC-edit filter that would grab a song file and generate a schematic containing a bunch of command block sequences, each of which playing a different tick or column of the song. An armor stand would run through each of the impulse command blocks at the beginning of each chain, and its seeking speed could be changed to make the song play faster or slower, effectively adding support to any tempo by quantizing the notes to the nearest game tick. Does this remind you of anything? Yes, we were unknowingly working on the same exact thing at the same time. What we did not know, though, was that Mojang would quickly render our systems obsolete. See, game mode isn't the only community that suffers with this. Right after that, 1.12 was released, and with it came data packs, the thing that brought all of us here today. MC-Edit then became obsolete, no one wanted to hear about it anymore, and so did command blocks. So I ditched that project and replaced it with NBS Function. But that wasn't ever developed, so this is what I have to show about it. It would become what the data pack export functionality is today, though, but we'll come back to that a bit later. Data packs and functions were not the only thing added in 1.12, though. Some pretty big things were happening with note blocks, too. More specifically, 5 new note block instruments were added for the first time in 6 years, bringing the total to 10 instruments. Noteblock Studio was quickly updated to new sounds in version 3.3.2. In 2018, the Noteblock was also featured in Minecraft's Block of the Week, which was Mojang's first official public acknowledgement of Noteblock Studio and all the cool things the community is doing with Noteblocks. I guess I know where I got the inspiration for the background now. In 1.14, just short of 2 years later, new sounds were added to Minecraft again, bringing the grand total to 16 instruments. But this time, unlike before, Noteblock Studio had not been updated, and started to lag behind. For a good while, there was not a way to use the new sounds in your songs until OpenNBS. Yeah, I know this sounds like an evil sci-fi Betty, but it's just us. At around early 2019, someone asked David if they could release the source code to the public, which could drive a lot of improvements to the program from various contributors. That someone was Hyalki, who is well known in the parkour map scene. David said yes, and on January 21st, 2019, the source code to the app was published on GitHub, now under the name Open Noteblock Studio. After a couple of weeks of work, NBS now looked like this. More notably, a dark theme had been added, the dreaded 6 Noteblock instruments added on 1.14 were now supported, and it was now possible to export songs to a data pack. Hooray! Chinko was the second contributor to the open source version, and worked on adding the features from his NBS mod, but now with a proper implementation. Me, being an NBS user since 2015, and as someone who had compiled a list of suggestions I wanted to send to David at some point, immediately became excited to make action. Started implementing it at August 2019, and it was an overhaul of the datapack export feature to be backed by a binary search tree. Before, it had been implemented in a single function that contained all notes. So basically, for a song with 4,000 notes, it ran, that's right, 4,000 commands every single tick. Here you can see the TPS graph after this change, and here's what it looked like before. Yeah. The new export also let you pick a custom namespace and path to save the song to, so this made it really easy for map makers who wanted to load multiple songs into their world. Yes, I'm looking at you right there. Finally, it offered support to any tempo by using the same quantization method applied to NBS to CPS and NBS function, just without nasty armor stands this time. Sorry, AJ, I still love you. After merging my first contribution, Hyalki asked me if I wanted to join the core development team. I said, yeah, I'd love to. And it all went downhill from there. Just kidding. We're fine. It was also at this time that Hyalki and I decided to create a Discord server for the project. Because, you know, you had all these people using NBS on a daily basis, but so far they didn't have a place to connect with each other and form a community around the app. So on August 7th, 2019, Hyalki created the Open Noteblock Studio Discord server. I was the second member to join. Chinko and I then started working to port the features that were missing in NBS. He implemented pattern files, UI customization settings, and support for velocity, panning, and pitch controls per individual note. On top of that, he added selection macros, such as fade out, tremolo, vibrato, and stereo, that made it really easy to apply variations in these parameters over a group of notes. This unlocked wild possibilities of advanced effects that Noteblock musicians could use in their songs. He also made the visualizer for the datapack export using falling sand blocks, which you can see on the right of this slide, and in many of his videos from that time. Meanwhile, I worked on adding a metronome and the possibility to work with beats per minute instead of ticks per second, for the people that didn't care about importing their songs into Minecraft. I also added window scaling, making NBS usable in 4K displays for the first time, performance improvements, layer reordering, increased the custom instrument limit from 18 to 240, the blackout mode, which made the background black, so you could key it out in your video editor when recording the screen, and fixed hundreds of bugs. 3.7.0, released in the last day of 2019, was larger than all of the past updates to Noteblock Studio since 2011, combined. We'd keep the tradition of long changelogs, with each major update released since then being larger than the previous one. However, with Hielke and Chinko eventually stepping down from the project, there was only one person left to move the project along. And that's how I became the project's maintainer. The project also moved to a GitHub organization called OpenNBS in an effort to decentralize management. Here's a quick, short summary, a brief overview of the features we've implemented to this day. Over the years, other members have contributed, of which the most notable is Chensi050402, who single-handedly added the player mode and the drop mode, a playback mode where notes scroll down vertically from the top with a piano roll at the bottom, similar to MIDI playback software like Synthesia or Ember. He also worked on the Fluent theme, which is customizable with accent colors and window transparency effects, making the program look like this now. Could stare at it for days! I actually do already. As of 2024, Noteblock Studio has been downloaded over 500,000 times. We're close to 800 stars on GitHub, and host a thriving Discord community with 3,500 passionate Noteblock enthusiasts who share dozens of songs every week. Together, we had given the community a robust, powerful tool to make music the way they wanted, whether bound by the limits of vanilla Noteblocks or entirely free to explore new, surprising possibilities. And there's no one better to talk about our community than our community manager, Vision, so I'll pass the word to him now. Thanks, Vision.
The community has broken the limits of vanilla Noteblocks not only in pitch range, but in many other creative ways. For instance, all notes played by Noteblocks are one-shot and have the same duration. This means you cannot achieve sustained notes normally. With different note durations being a fundamental part of any music you make, users have come up with a technique, first introduced by Shinkonet, of simulating sustained notes by repeating the same note consecutively. You can add effects, such as a stereo ping-pong effect, to break up the harsh repetition of the notes and make them sound smoother. You can also add variations in pitch to create portamentos or glissandos, smooth glides from one note to the other. You can even create a vibrato effect. Some instruments, such as the flute, are very airy and have a soft attack, and thus work better for this purpose. This technique is used extensively in modern Noteblock creations and is demonstrated in many of the songs you're hearing in the summit. Have gotten so advanced as to be named after the person who came up with them, such as, yes, the Vision chords or Sulintuli percussion. As if that wasn't enough, some people have already blown up the limits. Some people have entirely blown up the limits of sanity by overlaying note blocks corresponding to the harmonics that make up a bass note, resulting in a song, in one case, with 4.6 million note blocks. You can't even tell that it was made with note block sounds. Beyond that, why be limited to the staple note block sounds when you can use any sound that's part of Minecraft? That's what many people do now to enrich their songs. In this slide, you can see just a few of the most common sounds used in modern Noteblock creations. The portal trigger sound, for instance, can be used as a riser. Block-breaking sounds such as gravel and sand can make a really good shaker. Allay sounds have been used for vocals due to their airy quality. Silverfish can turn into a hi-hat, tambourine, or sleigh bells for your holiday songs. In the hands of note blockers, firework blast turns into a clap, the fire extinguish becomes a cymbal, and even gas sounds turn into a trumpet. Your imagination is the limit. But who are actually using NBS in the community? Many major Minecraft servers use Noteblock songs to spruce up their lobbies, such as Hypixel, some with even their own creative twists as well. Windcraft has developed their own set of instruments to replace the 5 original Noteblock sounds, creating a distinctive soundscape that is recognized by players everywhere, and features an original Noteblock soundtrack with over 170 tracks. Diamondfire, on the other hand, allows players to load their NBS files to play music in their minigame plots. In the map-making scene, Clouser and his team, Clouser Studios, are using Noteblock music created by Noteblock Matt as the soundtrack for many of their game recreations, which adds a lot to the immersiveness of their maps. On YouTube, there are all sorts of channels making note block music in a variety of styles, some using the visuals provided by Noteblock Studio, some using it as a base to build their own circuits manually inside the game, and some coding entirely custom visualizations and schematic generators based on their song files.
In fact, Noteblock Music has even made it onto physical. A few years ago, ShinkoNet released their Hypixel soundtrack, produced by them, in Noteblock Studio through a localized limited-time batch of CDs. Unfortunately, these are no longer being produced, so please don't go nagging Shinko about it. However, it was still quite a remarkable moment for the community. The community has also organized massive events, such as the Noteblock Mega Collab, where many members of the community collaborated on a single song, resulting in a 20-minute Noteblock medley that you can hear on YouTube. Work on the second edition of this collab is underway and nearly finished. Stay tuned for that. We've also started to organize smaller, official Noteblock jams. Our debut, and also our latest, was for this very event. We set some constraints for participants to follow. Songs must run at 10 ticks per second, no more than 25 notes played per tick, limitations so the songs could perform well on the server. We on 30 songs from existing covers to original compositions for the summit. If you weren't already aware, these submissions can be heard throughout the summit's world, and you can learn more about each submission by right-clicking the album art in our booth.
With the Noteblock libraries, programmers have coded their own custom scripts to generate videos and even custom structures to get their music to play. Some of these projects are so well made that they deserve to be featured here. In case you want to know more, you can scan the QR codes in the top of the slide to head straight to the project's page. This project, made by Ben Troen, yeah, who's that guy, grabs a Noteblock song and overlays clips of Minecraft elements in sync with each played note, creating a mosaic. The result is a video where the music is perfectly in sync with what's happening on the screen, which is very satisfying to watch. 1234AB has made a custom schematic export layout that places blocks in a massive spiral, starting from the center of the map, resulting in this gigantic, glorious, galaxy-like arrangement that's crazier than anything we've ever seen before. This project, created by Jazzy Red and Mooncatcher, uses a custom arrangement of discs inside a chest to encode the notes from Noteblock Studio into the game, allowing you to play any song using the same circuit. This one has been viewed over 2 million times on YouTube as of today. These projects you can download and use with your own songs as well.
Cool things the community has made, this now begs the question, why have Noteblock music in your maps? By the end of this section, we want to convince you that music is, in fact, a fundamental element of well-crafted gaming experience, as much as level design, art, history, and mechanics. Before we get into that, about the contrast between sequenced and streamed music. If you're interested in retro gaming, you probably know that back in the 80s and 90s, video games used sequenced music. That's basically what MIDI is, if you've heard of that. This counters with streamed music, which is just a lot of points representing samples of a waveform. When converted to a voltage, this can drive the cone of a speaker, or diaphragm, to create vibrations in the air molecules that we perceive as sound. Audiophiles store nothing more than a discrete set of points that are part of a sound wave. And since you need to store a lot of points in order to accurately reconstruct a sound from an audio signal, typically over 44,000 points per second of audio, audiofiles tend to be very large. It wouldn't be suitable to include a full streamed soundtrack in the small cartridges that games were distributed in back then. Sequenced music, on the other hand, only stores instructions on how to play a song. Notes start points, durations, keys, and the instruments they should sound like. A sound chip or a software playback system then interprets these instructions and generates the audio output corresponding to this sequence of notes. Compared to audio samples, these instructions are very small to store. Although storage space is really cheap today and games can be hundreds of gigabytes in size, there are still, to this day, situations where it's to avoid the storage increase that comes with streamed music. Minecraft resource packs happen to be a perfect example of this. In order to connect to this server, you need to download a resource pack, but you wouldn't want players to wait while a gigabyte of music is downloaded. And this is exactly what would have happened if we included just a few minutes worth of streamed music in this Myth Summit pack. Sequenced music, on the other hand, would just require a small set of sounds that could be reused over and over to play any track you want. And guess what's an example of sequenced music designed to be compatible with Minecraft? Yes, NBS files. But now, let's say you do decide to have music in your next map. Where do you find people to make the music? Well, we've got you covered. We have a vibrant community eager to make music for your next project. Hobbyists and professionals from every background and skill level, paid or volunteer. Music can add immersion to any setting you can imagine, from a cozy waiting hub to the most intense boss battle you can fight, exploring the lengths of a flourishing world or the depths of a dark cave. It can turn an otherwise bland experience into something remarkable for the player. In fact, Afro from the Omega Flowey boss fight map, that's showcased right here in the summit, is convinced that the block music should be part of the map's experience. Playback techniques have been optimized to a fine point that they cause no lag at all. You might wonder why the music sounds a bit laggy in the Summit server, but it's not the music itself that causes the lag. It's the music plus all the other things that are running in the world. With a modern implementation using macros or scheduled functions, an active playback system causes little to no lag. To optimize for performance even further, we have implemented the Summit's playback system in a global way. That is, everyone hears the same music all the time. This approach has the added bonus of letting people vibe to the same music track everywhere, as in this screenshot we just took on the server just 2 days ago. But in a setting where performance isn't as much of a constraint, such as a single-player world or a small server, you can have each player hearing different songs. This lets you have areas playing different music, or even let players pick what song they want to hear based on their mood. Even in the Summit server, with all the load it's bearing, it actually runs pretty fine most of the time. Finally, using sequenced music unlocks endless possibilities in what you can achieve by syncing up game events with the music that's playing. For instance, in Mario Kart, the third lap plays music faster. In Super Mario Galaxy, Mario rolls, there we go, on top of a ball, with music becoming faster or slower according to your movement speed. With the limitations of the play sound command, none of that would be easy to do with audio files for your music. But with NBS, you can achieve that by modulating the playback speed programmatically in your data packs. You can also have blocks appearing and disappearing in sync with the music to create a platforming challenge, such as the Celeste cassette levels. And mind you, these first 2 screenshots were taken inside of Minecraft. Props to you if you recognize where this first galaxy is from. Admittedly, the tools for doing that aren't the best right now, but we're determined to change that. Whether you're using Beat or MC Build, or just exporting straight out of NoteBlock Studio, we want to give you the tools to sync in-game content to do whatever you want that involves NoteBlock music in your data packs. In fact, in line with our mission of making software that's open and accessible to everyone, we just published the repository containing all the source code used to generate the data pack and resource pack we used on the Myth Summit. Just like much of our other code, it's published under the MIT license, and you can explore it as much as you want for your own purposes. We plan to use this code as a starting point to refactor data pack in NBS, so all the playback features you've seen in the Summit will soon be available to everyone. As for the last reason why we think you should use NoteBlock Music, well, we aren't going anywhere. NoteBlock Studio is now 13 years old and counting, which makes it the oldest Minecraft software project to still be around, in the same codebase as its very first release. Mojang themselves even said in their YouTube series How We Make Minecraft, quote, "We want you to craft the sounds of Minecraft." And you didn't disappoint. We even have more plans for note blocks in the future. I tell them, but the developers didn't tell me what they are, which is fine. Didn't want to know them anyway. Yeah, that's the full quote. We'll put it here all the way through. So note blocks aren't going anywhere either. In fact, are to make them widespread and ensure that they get the love and recognition they deserve as a great feature of Minecraft. We'll be here to support you in whatever you need regarding the Noteblock ecosystem. We're working hard to make sure the project is sustainable in the long run, so that development is not abandoned for the third time in its history. But you might have noticed that our panel is titled 15 Years of Noteblocks, and NBS is only 13 years old. What about you? Well, here they are.
We talked about our history and what can be done with Noteblock Studio right now. What comes next? Let's start off with the technical side of things. NBS uses a binary data format called NBS. Noteblock Studio uses a binary data format called Noteblock Song. It stores everything you'd expect: project name, layer, custom instruments, notes, etc. Unfortunately, not much future-proofing went into the development of the NBS format. When Noteblock Studio was open sourced and new features were added to songs, such as panning and note volume, the format needed to change as well. Since the project didn't originally want to diverge from its source too much, these fields were hackily implemented into the existing format, now resulting in 6 different versions of the NBS specification. This is confusing. The lack of distinction between NBS and NBS, all the different versions of the format that developers must account for, breakages these changes cause, it's not nice. As such, we've been discussing the future of the format, potentially splitting from its roots entirely. We've been collaborating with developers in the ecosystem to think up a system that's backwards compatible, forwards compatible, and easily expandable. As such, XNB, or Extensive Note Block. The idea for this format is that it could be used by more than just Noteblock Studio. It can store only needs or include extra information embedded by other applications. Fields such as the autosave interval, something that can only be used by Noteblock Studio, could be excluded with no issue, while something like custom instruments could be directly stored in the format for portability. This is part of our initiative to ensure the maintainable future of the project. Like Minimator, another project formerly developed by David, we're looking into rewriting Noteblock Studio. Currently, our codebase uses many platform-dependent, meaning cross-platform builds are impossible. Some community members are working on porting these libraries to work on all operating systems. However, this isn't the extent of the issue. Noteblock Studio's codebase is ancient. As you just have heard, it stems from 2011. It's old. It's full of hacks and bodges, unmaintainable code styles, and has generally gone stale. Reverse engineering what our own application does is quite the task, let alone rebuilding it from the ground up. We're making sure to do things right this time. GameMaker was an easy choice for David, as it provided all the tools he needed to develop the early versions of the app. But over time, it started to become a burden. Common UI elements, such as text boxes, had to be manually implemented, resulting in jank. The same goes for modals and many other elements found in the app. During our exhaustive discussions regarding the future of the project, Godot came up a few times. Don't get me wrong, Godot is an amazing for games and even basic applications. However, the same has been said about GameMaker all those years ago. Though Godot provides more UI elements, such as text boxes, we worry whether we eventually run into the same issue we're facing now. What's the point of a rewrite if we're just going to have to do it all again? We decided to rule out game engines and opt for a solution that can stand independent from its front end. For the past 4 years, Ben had been working on a prototype on his own time. This has resulted in a fairly functional application. However, prototypes are built to be discarded, and that may just happen here, because it was written in Python. Python is easy. It's a great language to get things done in, and meshes so well with projects like Beat. Most developers know it, and if not, most developers will learn it. Its ecosystem is massive, where a library for any case has likely already been developed. In fact, this rewrite of NoteBlock Studio in Python utilizes Qt for its framework, front-end framework. Despite these pros, however, Python typically isn't associated with apps at our scale. We've already observed major performance issues with this rewrite of the app, and while we've worked towards improving it, it might not be worth it. You typically see applications switching away from Python rather than moving towards it. This can be seen in Matrix's backend server Synapse, which is currently being rewritten in Go for performance and ability reasons. Additionally, our project requires freedom. The ability to exist independently from any library and the ability to expand as needed without compromise. Qt is a great framework for most applications. However, NoteBlock Studio is not most applications. Looking at established DAWs such as FL Studio, Ableton Live, Bitwig Studio, Pro Tools, they all share nothing in common. Each of the ground up their specific needs. Even GarageBand and Logic Pro, both developed by Apple and visually similar, don't share much in common. As such, we've been looking into ways to develop something more modular and abstract enough to exist on its own. If a UI framework proves to be too limiting, we could easily refactor our code to work with another. However, of course, this still begs the question, what language? Rust is the obvious choice. So many new apps are written in it, and it's performant yet safe enough to where almost anybody can create great applications. But its ecosystem is not yet mature, and us developers simply don't know it. Same goes for C++, where it's even easier to write bad code. We can't alienate our existing developers and contributors. So what else? Well, there's Java, which we're already experienced in because, well, Minecraft. But we found that its ecosystem is very old and enterprisey, a stark contrast to us young self-taught developers. This is where C# comes in. Used in many indie games, Terraria, Celeste, Stardew Valley, it's a popular language amongst aspiring game developers, which are most of our contributors. Its syntax is similar to Java, yet provides the low-level freedom that we so need. The ecosystem is mature, much of it being maintained by Microsoft, meaning it'll definitely last. Is this the obvious choice? Well, everything is still being discussed. These are the early days of the future of the project, and we want to make sure we set a strong foundation. If you'd like to get involved, it's all taking place on our Discord server, so give it a visit. And it's tough to balance development and releases. We don't want to end up like Netscape, so we're planning to update the current version of NoteBlock Studio until this new version reaches parity. We also don't want to bike shed ourselves to death, something that's tough to avoid. You might wonder, how powers all of this? As mentioned earlier, PyNBS lets you create, read, modify, and generate NoteBlock songs using Python. It's already been made to work with data-packed build tools such as Beat. It's also currently being used in NoteBlock Studio for generating the MP3 exports. But how about something more tightly integrated with Minecraft? A plugin, a mod perhaps? Well, you're in luck, because the community has you covered. NoteBlock API by Cocoa provides a complete solution for NoteBlock song playback on bucket-based servers, with it supporting NBS encoder-decoder split into its own library called NBS4J. Another community member, RaffiMC, has also developed their own Java library, NoteBlockLib, which provides methods to transform, convert, and modify existing NoteBlock songs out of the box. For the web, NBS.js provides all the tools you need for online NoteBlock song playback, and much more. It works great with full-stack web frameworks such as Next.js, SvelteKit, and theoretically any other JavaScript or TypeScript application. It's recently been brought into the NoteBlock Studio organization rather than solely being developed by me. In fact, we're interested in developing and maintaining more official NoteBlock song libraries. We started work on a parser for C#, one of those languages that NoteBlock Studio might be rewritten in. We may also explore writing libraries for Rust and C++ and more as well. As you can tell, the ecosystem has started to expand across all languages, including Chinese. There's an entire NoteBlock community in China who are very active on WeChat and Bilibili, basically the Discord and YouTube of China. They create their own math, scripts, and even mods to generate particle visualizations. And the most interesting thing is, because of the language barrier, none of what they do appears in English search results. The Japanese note block community, on the other hand, has come up with gigantic stereophonic note block songs called Ritai Onkyo. By carefully placing each note block at the right distance and wiring it all up, they actually create volume and panning modulations in vanilla note block circuits, something that's not possible with traditional circuits. There's a giant gap between the Western and Eastern note block communities, and we want to work on bridging that gap in the future. Noteblock Studio has already been translated to Chinese, and believe it or not, our user base is actually from Japan. We might explore a method for our communities to directly interact, community members from each of these respective regions who are dedicated to connecting the two of us. This ambassador approach works, however, it might be stressful for the few members that would have to participate in both communities. We have another solution in mind. Note Block World. Throughout our years maintaining Noteblock Studio, their question we hear very often: where can I find songs? We've noticed that it's been the community's most frequent request because, surprisingly, a platform that makes it easy for these to find these creations doesn't exist. Since we noticed that the ecosystem was completely lacking in that regard, about 2 years ago, we set out on a mission to change this. We started planning a place where anybody could share their songs and browse creations from other Noteblock producers. It would be an invaluable opportunity to launch a unique, first-of-a-kind product into the world, one that could revolutionize the way we share and listen to Noteblock music. Noteblocks have become an entire genre of their own, and we want to celebrate that by giving the community a social platform where they're able to connect with other Noteblock enthusiasts. So, in August of 2023, we started developing a brand new website. Now, 15 months later, we're very proud to finally bring this project to the world. We launched Noteblock World's public beta in July of 2024. Right now, you can browse recent songs, filter by genre, download songs, and even in the next update of Noteblock Studio 3.11, launch them into the app with one click. You can also add helpful metadata to your songs, such as title, description, and a catchy thumbnail that lets you pick the background color, zoom level, and more. You might notice that our community has already started to create detailed thumbnails using muted note blocks, something that we did not expect. Beyond just browsing songs, Noteblock World features helpful articles designed to assist anybody getting started with Noteblock music creation, and a blog where we'll share anything cool that's happening in the community, including the Smith Summit. We're able to submit Noteblock songs that are using Minecraft's 16 Noteblock instruments, as well as customs found within the game. And of course, your creations are still yours. Whether users can download your songs is up to you, and you can even publish under the Creative Commons license. Within just over 4 months, and without any public announcements, over 100 songs have already been uploaded. Here are some of them. After a ton of planning and intense bug fixing, the time has come to finally launch it to the world. Noteblock World will be launched right now during this panel.
Yeah. It's time, guys.
Are you ready? I want to see the chat. Are you all ready?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Y'all ready? Noteblock World.
let's do this then. If your game volumes is too loud, you might want to lower it a little bit, because this is gonna be loud. With that out of the way, let's start the countdown. 5, 4,
4,
3,
3,
2,
2.
1.
No, it's
Oh, I can't reach the lever. There we go.
Yay!
There it is. That's right. NoteBlock World is now live at noteblock.world, so go listen to some NoteBlock music after our panel. And on that high note, no pun intended, we cannot end this panel without acknowledging the work of some great people who have been part of our journey so far. If you're here from the NoteBlock community, please line up in front of the stage. You're part of this as much as we are.
Please come up.
Although our core team consists of only 3, we want to thank all these folks for contributing largely to what we are today. The project wouldn't be the same without everyone's valuable contributions, so thanks a lot for being involved with the project. Thanks to the entire Smith team for doing such a good service to the entire DataPack community, being so welcoming and giving everyone a space to show their awesome projects to the world. I'd like to make a special mention to Curious and RX from the Smith team, who have been in helping us get our booth and panel ready for the summit in less than a month. Finally, I'd like to thank our entire community for staying with us throughout the project's history. You're the reason why we're excited to keep working on this project every single day, and that we are able to be here and get a spot in such an amazing event. So, if you are watching this, know that you are a fundamental part of our history. That history, which we shared with everyone at the stage today. Thank you so much for being around. That's not the right
Hey.
command.
Launching it again.
3, 2, 1. Next
Rewrite.
slide. There we go. We also want to generously thank our current and former sponsors for supporting the project and helping us keep working on it. You rock! With the many fronts and initiatives that the project is acting on, maintaining the current version, rewriting a new version, developing the website, documentation, managing the community, offering support, developing libraries, making a booth and a panel for a Minecraft event, something we didn't even imagine would be happening, like, ever? We spend a lot of unpaid volunteer time keeping up with NBS, so we want to say special thanks to all our sponsors. It's thanks to these folks that we are able to launch NoteBlock World today and keep it up for everyone to enjoy. If you'd like to support us, you can make a donation via Open Collective or GitHub sponsors, and we have a special perk. By donating $10 or more until the end of the month, you get a special early supporter badge in NoteBlock World once user profiles are implemented. And that's all we've got for today. Make sure to follow us in our social media at OpenNBS and join our Discord to get the latest updates on what we're working on next. Thank you.
Any questions?
I saw a question that I will answer. Are you
ahead.
planning to allow playing these songs directly on NoteBlock World? And the answer is yes. Currently, this is not implemented, but we have everything in place and we are working towards making that a possibility.
There we go. More questions?
I saw one in the chat that I think might be good for Bentron to answer. In the Summit stage chat.
Which one?
The Discord Summit stage chat. The first one by
Oh, okay.
Nave.
From Znave, right?
Yeah.
Will there be an API on NoteBlock World that I can hook into to create applications, tools that play back the NBS songs? For instance, I have a computercraft script that randomly selects from a list of songs I've pre-selected from a random GitHub I found and plays them. I think I know which one this GitHub is. It would be very cool to add an NBW integration. Yes, that's the plan. In line with our spirit of making open and accessible software, we want to provide an API and the tools to make whatever you want. So if you want to hook up into the database and download the songs to play inside Minecraft, to make playlists, or, you know, whatever you may want to do with the songs, we aim to provide a way to do that. Of course, the way is very long. There are still many features planned before we're able to get into this point, but in the long run, it's our plan. And you can check our public roadmap, which is not linked here, but you can easily find it on the homepage of the website to see everything we have planned for the future of the website. There we go. Any more questions?
Lots of questions. Oh my gosh.
Where's that document?
Yeah, where's that Google Doc with all the questions?
No problem. Thank you for the question.
While you guys find something to answer, I'll answer a personal question that was quite personally asked to me. Do I narrate audiobooks? I do not, but I guess I should start looking into doing so.
Yeah, there's a good question here. Can I donate my organs for the early supporter role? I guess not, because you probably would be dead, and you cannot be a supporter if you were dead. But you could donate an instrument. That would be very valuable. I could sell it for good money. Next question.
Next note block, the 17th.
I've got a question that I can answer. Once playback on the website is available, will the ability to download the source NBS file be toggleable? Yes. We are currently trying to figure out the best way to be able to have your song be heard without distributing its source everywhere if that's something that you do not want. It's a bit tricky since, as you saw, the NBS file format stores everything required for NoteBlock playback. So we're figuring out how to balance both the openness and the closedness that our users may want. But it is definitely a priority to make sure your projects are still yours.
Yeah. There's a good question here in chat. We'll be able to get custom themes for NBS. Yeah, well, in the long run, that's the idea too. Once we move to a proper UI framework, we want to make it right this time. The reason why we haven't done like even more things for NBS is that the code base does not support it. For instance, the main logic of the program is implemented in a script called control/draw. For anyone curious, go take a look at that in our GitHub repository. It's 3,000 lines of code long, and all of its code runs into a loop 60 times per second, and all the UI features of the program are implemented there. And we could refactor it, yeah, but it's not very worth it if we'll be moving out of GameMaker really soon. But once we do that, and we have things properly integrated with good, solid principles, separation of responsibilities, good software engineering, testing, test-driven development, all the good practices you learn in your computer science classes, we'll be able to do much more. So you can customize the theme, you can add language translations. Right now we have Chinese translations, but they haven't been hackily implemented as ifs and elses across the entire code base. Which is not a good thing. I mean, if you can't support like many languages. But once that's out of the way, you have language translations. We want to make plugins. So Blockbench, Audacity, Paint.net, any program you can think of can be extended with user plugins. And we want to let you write your own plugins to modify parts of the UI or to create custom macros that apply something on top of the notes without being restricted to what we have implemented in our code. So there's a lot waiting us on our future, but we gotta do it one step at a time, of course.
I
Will
see
you
one
add...
here.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
I
Will you
see
add
one in here by
undoable
Pig-
macros? Oh, sorry again.
Gosh darn it. You can go.
Yeah, will you add undoable macros? That's been added by our contributor IOCMCOMC in NoteBlock Studio 3.11, which is releasing probably this week. So that's already done. Go on, Vizian.
I see one here by Pigler. Will we have native Nintendo Switch support? No.
Um,
No, probably not. I would
Our
say
No.
rewrite now for us to make things like mobile builds, but the UI just isn't built for these types of screens, so it's unlikely. If it ever happens, it would probably be a different version of the app.
yeah, the version would have the workflow of the program would have to be entirely adapted because just porting it to work on a small screen wouldn't work. You don't have a mouse and stuff. Even smaller applications that aren't nearly as complex, like Spotify, they have dedicated mobile apps and desktop apps instead of just porting the desktop app to a mobile. So this kind of doubles the work we have to maintain all the initiatives of for organization of the project. So this is not a priority for us at the moment. But if you would like to see NBS on mobile, you're welcome to take a shot at it. Go ahead. Our code is public, and we're on the Discord. You can ask us anything you need to get you started. Question: will be able to get a swing knob? I really want to make jazz, but off time. Yes. The program originally was very tied to Minecraft because it was music only inside of Minecraft. But right now, as you've seen from the presentation, there are people completely ignoring the limits of Minecraft. So it doesn't matter if your song doesn't fit in 20 ticks per second. You can make triplets by using odd intervals. That will be entirely possible. For instance, Blockbench has templates. One of the templates is a block/item for Java Edition, which lets you work with the limited rotation in steps of 22.5 degrees. But if you have a model that's outside of these constraints, there's a way there that you can convert it to fit inside the constraints. And we want to make more kinds of songs compatible with Minecraft, with a Minecraft-based playback. In the summit, you've already seen a lot of stuff we did in that regard. You can't, for instance, you can't even tell that some of the songs were quantized to fit in 20 ticks per second because it was made in a way that's very smooth and pretty much unnoticeable. And as for the other questions, we'll be able to make custom macros. We'll be able to bind hotkeys or macros to add certain things with our selected area inside the NBS editor. Yes, that's the long-term plan, but I can say for sure when that's gonna be a thing because we have to rewrite the entire thing first before we get to any of this. So don't be too excited just yet, but do know it's in our plans to make that in the future.
I've got a question I can answer real quick.
Okay.
Do you plan to make a NoteBlock World mobile app? Well, it's a website, so you can visit it from any device that supports the web, and the UI has been built to be responsive for these environments, so you'd likely be able to view them just fine.
There we go, Rowan. Thank you. Progressive web apps. We'll likely start with a PWA, a progressive web app, which is a small, portable website that is installed in your mobile device as an application. You have a launcher icon in your home screen. You can have integration with like notifications, the media API to change songs from your notification bar. It's already pretty advanced these days. So we'll progressive web app, and if there are any features that require a dedicated mobile app, we'll probably work on that at some point in the future.
Another question: does the UI easily support microtonal music? It's not a native feature that we advertise in the app, but you can easily manually adjust the fine pitch of notes. So you have to do some manual edits to your whatever note block song you're making. However, you can make music in whatever tonal scale you'd like.
Yep. Yeah, microtones have arrived to NBS. Any other questions? I think our time is running out a little bit, but there may be time for one or two more.
I think there's a question that you could answer, Benjamin. Will there be expansions to MIDI imports like auto sustain and maybe even harmonics?
Yes, that's all planned as well, because in MIDI, you have, just like Vision mentioned, you have different note durations. You can drag a note as long as you want. And right now, if you MIDI import it into Noteblock Studio, it will just create one note there, and the entirety of the remainder of the note will be silent. So yes, by using those advanced effects that Vision described, by, ping-ponging like the note left and right and adding volume curves, you can have notes that pretty much sound like they're sustained. And this naturally can extend to the MIDI import as well. So we have to move out of the Game Maker first, so we can expand it with other integrations and start working on like the true features that we want to bring to the ecosystem. There's a question here from Splatos. Are there any plans to allow converting an NBS function data pack back into an NBS project? That would not be too much of a priority, I believe, because there's a sensitive question there, which is many people don't like to share their Noteblock songs. And at the same time, you have like a script that just reverse engineers like the packets that are incoming to your server and tries to recreate an NBS file from that already exists. So in theory, you could steal all of the songs that are playing on the Smith Summit, but I don't believe we should make it easy for you to do that. I mean, if you want to do that, fine. But it's not a thing we're primarily focused on, compared to all the other things we have to advance in the ecosystem.
Yeah. And that's all the time that we have. If you have more questions, of course, you can ask in our Discord server and ask us, and we'll respond as we can after the panel's wrapped up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Make sure to attend the Beat panel on Saturday, and thank you again for coming and for being here and supporting us. You are all great. Can I take a screenshot?
Go for it.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
there we go. Oh, it's beautiful.
Yep, give it up
It
to
is.
our fantastic panelists, everyone. An awesome panel.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And for anyone who wants to watch back the fireworks show or anything like that, everything is recorded on the YouTube.
Yeah, and it's public. There's a branch in our GitHub repository with the code for the fireworks sequence we have made here. If you want to do your own fireworks is synced up to Noteblock Music, we've got you covered.
Alrighty.
There we go.
Thanks
I hope you all
everyone for
enjoyed.
coming on.
And yeah, it's time to say goodbye now.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy the summit.
Bye.
And just a heads up, we have a panel tomorrow. It's Intro to Snowcapped with Jago. It's starting at... Sorry, let me pull up the schedule. It starts at 3 p.m. EST. I don't have the UTC conversion there, but you can view everything on summit.net or smith.net/summit/schedule if you're curious about when the next panel is. All right.
Hello. Hi.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead. People are welcome to hang out in the Summit VC if they want to chat or whatever you'd prefer.
Do we Yeah, okay. Bye bye.